Johnson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you can play a song called Faster Horses by Tom T. Hall. And we're going to start off with kind of that intro part. And there's this cool little lick that kind of recurs through the tune in the intro, and actually it's kind of like a chorus tag, where you could play 3rd fret on the low E string, and then open A, 2nd fret on the A, and then 3rd fret on the low E, and then 3rd fret on the D, 2nd on the D, open D, and then back to 3rd fret on the low E. So if you wanted to kind of follow those notes, it's kind of a G, A, B, G, F, E, D, G, A, B, G, F, E, D, and that lick kind of happens around a G major chord. When we play G major, first finger goes to A on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the low E string 3rd fret, and 3rd finger on the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, it sounds a G major chord, and it sounds really happy. Now you may also want to think about putting the 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, pinky on the high E string 3rd, and if you kind of strum all those together, it's another way you could kind of play your G major chord through the song. Now the song is at a really fast pace, and you could kind of work kind of a down idea actually on the G chord if you're kind of looking for strumming options. Or one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4 like this is down, down, up, up, down, up. So you'd have G, down, up, down, G, down, up, down, G, down, up, down, G, down, up, down. And this is a little weird actually through the tune. Actually, you could work it as kind of a moderately paced down, down, up, up, or a really fast down, down, up, down kind of. Times 2 idea on all the chords we'll talk about. But randomly we'll talk more about that later. But then from there we go into our verse part. And our verse starts on the G, and then we do more G, and then we do more G, and then more G, but then we go to a C major chord. We play C major. First finger goes to the B on the 1st fret, 2nd finger on the D string 2nd fret, and 3rd finger on the A string 3rd fret. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a C major chord, and it sounds really happy. Now you may also want to think about lifting off the 1st finger and making that a C major 7, or you could take the pinky and kind of add it on the B string 3rd for C major 9, or another way to play C major 9 is to do 1st finger on the D string 2nd, 2nd finger on the A string 3rd, 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, and the pinky on the high E string 3rd. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a C major 9, and it sounds really groovy happy. And then from the C we go back to G, and then we kind of do a G major to a D major chord. We play D major. First finger goes to the G string on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the high E 2nd fret, and 3rd finger on the B string 3rd fret. And if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds a D major chord, and it sounds really happy. Now while you're on Ds in general, it can be kind of cool to lift off the 2nd finger and make that a D suspended 2nd, or you could add in the pinky on the high E 3rd and make that a D suspended chord. Kind of say some things around the D, or if you dig on this, you could kind of do a D7 sound on that too, where you do 1st finger on the B string 1st fret, 2nd finger on the G 2nd, 3rd finger on the high E 2nd fret, kind of use a D7 for that change, or you could lift off the 3rd finger there and kind of make that a D7 sus2, or you could add in the pinky on the high E string on the 3rd and make that a D7 sus to kind of say some things around the D chords. So through our verse, the weird part about our strumming is when we get to that last G and D chord, we'll kind of half those. So you may want to do just a down, down, up on those chords. So through that whole verse, we'd have the G, 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 C, G, and then G with the down, down, up, D with the down, down, G, down, down, up, down, up. Or if you're quick enough, we'll have the G, from there, then we'd be going into our chorus part. And our chorus starts on the G, and then we go to our C, and then we go to our D, and then we kind of come into the G chords that kind of sound like the intro, actually, kind of 4 Gs at the very end. So we tried that with down, down, up, up, down, up. You have G, C, D, and then our G, 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 G. other thing that I think about adding to the song though is bass notes. And a lot of times on that first down of the down, down, up, down, up, you throw in a bass note for the chord. So on the G, you'd have low E for the bass. On the C, you'd have the A for the bass. And on the D, you'd have the D string for a bass. So we try that next verse that way. You have G with the bass, down, up, down, G with the bass, down, up, down, G with the bass, down, up, down, G, C, G. And we got a G with a bass, down, D with a bass, down, G with low E bass. Or if you're quick enough, then you could kind of double that and have G. So we tried that with kind of our slower down, down, up, down. We'd have G with the bass, down, up, down, C with the bass, down, up, down, G with the D bass, down, up, down, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass. Or if you want to try that with the toms too, you'd have kind of that G, verse. Now one other feel I'd think about using through the tune is more of kind of a country feel, and you'll kind of hear this in the bass part through the tune, where the bass player a lot of times in a country tune will play what's called the root of the chord, which is what we're using for our bass note right now, but then they'll alternate that with something called the fifth. So on a G note, or a G chord, you have G, A, B, C, D is something called the fifth. So you could do kind of low E for your bass, and then a down up, and then do your D string for what we call the fifth, and then another down up, and kind of get more of a traditional country feel, kind of low E bass, down up, D bass, down up, low E bass, down up, D bass, down up, kind of on the G chord. It's kind of alternating basses on that. And on the C chord, you can do the A string to the low E string on the third fret. You can kind of work that around the C major 9, or the regular C, and kind of move the third finger to get A third to the low E third. So it's a little weird kind of how to move the third finger. And on the D, you have the D string, the A string. So we tried that through our verse, and we have the G, times 2 idea and have kind of that, and you may want to do kind of a bass down instead of the down up, but G, 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 C, G, the G, D, G, and then from there we'll be going into our outro chorus. So we could kind of try that with that same idea, kind of that G, or just the bass, or the country feel, and have G, C, D, G, G, C, D, G. Or you could try that with the toms 2 idea and have kind of G, basics of how you can strum through faster horses by Tom T. Hall. So good luck!